get into it, well, let's talk about it. All day in the bank, let's talk about it. Spend a few checks, talking cheap change, well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Heard you get into it, well, let's talk about it. All day in the bank, let's talk about it. Spend a few checks, talking cheap change, well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Good evening, everybody. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Ladies Room Live.
Hi.
And thank you guys all for coming out to hang out with us tonight. And I'm
Well,
going
somebody's missing.
they'll come in.
Okay.
We definitely had some technical difficulties tonight, but we started a little.
Bad internet connection.
We have a lot of show. Can you guys all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So we have a lot of show tonight. And first of all, let me introduce myself.
Hello?
My name is Terry Dean. My name is Terry Dean, author, producer, playwright, content creator. And basically, you know, I have traveled around quite extensively, met so many people in my travels. And I, you know, in talking to so many different people, I thought it would be interesting to do somewhat of a social experiment and put a bunch of strange people together and see what can come out of that in terms of, you know, talking about certain difficult to talk about issues. And this is our 5th show. And each time we've done this show so far, it's been different. Tonight is even more different. And we have some new guest hosts with us tonight. We have Lavelle Jones. We have Derek Harper. We have Heather.
Derek.
I'm sorry, Adam. And we are expecting some more guests. So let's not delay any further. We've had enough delays. I want to introduce our producer, Pamela Patino. And Pamela Patino is going to introduce to you what this particular special night show is going to be about.
So first, I think we just lost Derek. But hi, ladies. Hey, Lavelle. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
So you know, I'm usually like way behind. I'm sorry.
Pam. Don't forget to tell them we drink here. I hope everybody has a cocktail tonight.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So first, let's take a sip to the show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on round 2, so if I get a little slurry, you know. Oh, wait, hold on a second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Derek I don't think he signed all the way in. You guys talk for a second. Let me just say,
Well, he could actually
turn your mic on. Okay, so here's the thing. What I usually am like so far behind the scenes. I hate being in front of a camera, and you all know I kind of, you know, backed out before. But I wanted to come on to this particular show because it kind of was, you know, kind of hit close to home as we talked about, you know, Terry and I talked, and Lavelle and I have been friends for quite some time. This is the first time we're actually seeing each other. You know, in virtual real life, yeah. But I think we've known each other now, for about 4 years or something like that?
Yeah, it's been about 4 years, yeah.
And we've done business together. I met him through entertainment. He has this amazing artist, and you know, we collaborated on a couple of things. He was in a male R&B group back in the day, and
I want the footage.
yeah. So after the show, you'll have to send us a link to some of your videos with them.
Please do share.
Yeah.
And I actually met Heather through Lavelle, and 2 of the other ladies I met through Lavelle as well, because he just has like this really, really like close-knit group of people that all just kind of always seem to come through and support one another. And, you know, and I thought that is so similar to what we all are attempting to do. And I thought, you know, if there's some synergy, let's see what it is.
Yeah.
So this show in particular was of interest to me because it is about relationships. And, you know, for those of you, you know, many of you don't know, but I'm just like rolling out of a 28-year marriage. And, you know, and so when Lavelle and I talked, Lavelle posted something a while ago, and, you know, things just kind of morphed into, me kind of having this idea of, hey, I'm not really in this spot alone. And I think when Lavelle went through what he was going through, I was going through it at the exact same time. And I just, and it's just like, sometimes it's helpful to not even get an answer or help, but just to be able to articulate what you're feeling or what you're going through to somebody, not that they could give answers or change your life, but it's just, just to get it out of yourself and out there into the universe. You could, perhaps, just change your, your way of thinking. And after then thinking about that, and then seeing a post that Lavelle made about some other individuals, I thought, what, we should get on, get this out into the open, and let's talk about it and just see, what is going on, what's going on. I think one of my goals here is to be able to talk in a non-judgmental forum where we could just exchange ideas, and in a perfect scenario, which this may not be, we don't know, but we may be able to help each other transition into the next phase of our lives. So that's my goal. But we'll see what happens, because we are all just human, and none of us are professionals in this area. Well, I think we probably all are professional when you think about it.
Well, we certainly, and I meant to put that disclaimer out there, and I wanted to tell everybody that, we are no professionals in the topics that we're going to be talking about. We are not professionals in any of these fields. We are just people, I should say, who have lived, loved, and lost. And we all have a story. So
yeah. So I think we've all kind of sort of met, but it might be a good idea to just go around and introduce ourselves so we don't feel like we're talking our business to complete strangers. But it might help to just for each of us to tell a little bit about ourselves, and then we could just go from there.
All right, you guys are morning. So Heather, let's start with you.
I'm Heather. I got invited through Lavelle, who I've known since high school. Long time ago. We kind of been going through the same thing, kind of the whole heartbreak thing. I was with someone for 6 years who ended up being quite the narcissist. Cheated on me several times. Actually, just since we've been broken up, which was the beginning of the year. He's already married somebody else. He was dating for 2 months and has tried several times to come back. But
wow,
I was strong enough this time and said no. So I've been working on me, and COVID actually ended up being a blessing for me, keeping me away from having a relationship and getting to know myself. And everyone's been noticing I'm much happier now. So it's been a good thing for me, actually.
I could definitely relate to you with the COVID kind of helping, because initially I thought, well, once I was hit in the throat with, oh yeah, we're selling the house, you're on your own. I was like, oh shit, okay. And then I said, all right, well, I'm gonna just dip and do it. Me, I'm always down for a good time. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna date aggressively, and I'm going to just go and have a good time. So that happened, and I think I moved into my apartment in February of this year. COVID hit. I had to travel, came back, COVID hit. A week later, they said, no, Pam, you're not, sit your ass down, because you're not leaving the house. So COVID probably changed my life, because it gave me time to kind of figure me out and, just kind of see who I am. And I think that it's going to be really difficult if, for the next person, if there is a next person, because I'm so knowing who I am, that it won't be easy for the next person at all.
Yeah, well, as you mature, what I found is that, you know more what you don't want than what you do want, when you come out of a situation. So
True.
I'm pretty much in that spot too. Shayna, what about you?
Hey guys, so I'm Shayna. I'm from New York. I've been married for a little over 20 years. I'm still currently married. I've met the group through Terry. Terry and I worked on a project together, and that's pretty much my deal.
I can definitely respect though where you guys are coming from with respect to having been in such long-term relationships and then having to kind of pivot into something different, and just figuring out what's the different. Like, what does that mean to you? So, yeah, happy to be here. Oh, and hi, Shakia. Whole shout out to my cousin.
Shayna, I'm sorry, Lene.
Hi, I'm Lene. Originally from New Jersey. I'm down here in Maryland now. Moved down to Maryland because I got married. Now I'm divorced and happily. And yeah, it's just been, crazy ride. But, life is crazy and ups and downs. And I don't know. I'm just trying to live my life and do my thing now that I'm a single woman now down here in Maryland, which is kind of outside of my comfort zone. I'm missing New York and New Jersey, but
well, come back to New Jersey so we can dip into it together.
Yeah, no, I'm there. I'm missing it.
Let's hear from you, Jackie.
Okay, hi, I'm Jackie, also known as Jacqueline. Originally from Charleston, South Carolina, lived in New York several years. I've been in Maryland for the past, 17 years now? It's been a long time. I feel like I just got here. Single, never been married, no children. Well, that's it.
So is there any reason, did you want to get married or have kids?
Oh yeah, I was engaged once, but that didn't work out. I ended that relationship and gave him back his ring and went about my business. But yeah, I always wanted to get married and have children, but just hasn't happened. So still looking for that. Still looking for that.
It ain't all that it's cracked up to be.
I know a lot of people say that. I know it's not, but I want to experience it for myself. I want to experience.
Well, no, I understand. And I'm just kidding. It could be a really good thing. It's really cute.
Leora, I know you're a lot of work.
Hi everyone. I'm Leora. I met the group also through Terry. I am married. I'm on my second marriage. So, really I reside in New Jersey. But yeah, it's great. I'm glad to be here. I'm happy to be here with you.
And let's hear from Mr. Lavelle. L-O-V-E.
Hey, I am Lavelle. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. I reside in Atlanta, Georgia now. I am a serial entrepreneur. I've been married for 17 years, in a relationship for 20. Currently going through a divorce. It's rough. We never envisioned ourselves here, especially, me marrying and my best friend and thinking I had a great marriage for at least, 17 out of the 20 years. The last year was just so rough. Realizing that, it was a lot of secrets. And I think the toughest thing is losing the intimacy, not the sex, but the intimacy of being able to share your wants, your dreams, your desires, what you want out of a relationship, and not having that communication, how it deteriorates the relationship. And I found out pretty fast that there was a lot of secrets because there wasn't any sharing of emotions, intimacy, a sharing of oneself. And, we never had an argument in 20 years. So that's, I thought it was a blessing, but it ended up being a curse. And this is where I am right now. We've been separated for just over a year. And we don't even communicate. We don't even talk. It's just so foreign to me. So I'm putting my life back together and I'm dating, just trying to move forward and, concentrate on my healing.
So I'm sorry, Pam, go ahead.
No, Shayna was going to say something.
Oh, Shayna?
I'm so sorry to just hop on in, but my question is this. You said you were married for 17, dating for 20, and in that entire 17-year time frame, you guys never had one disagreement?
Not one argument. we have a disagreement. She's kind of passive. I communicate, and I always created a safe place for her to express herself. But for some reason, even early on, I recognized that this may be a problem in our relationship further down the line. She couldn't express her feelings. If she didn't agree with something that I wanted to do or where I wanted to move, she would hold it to herself. She would tell all her friends, but I was never made aware of the information. So, we can talk about it like adults. We never talked about money or bills. She just wouldn't talk.
Before you guys got together, did you have any of those kind of deeper level conversations? Like, what you wanted to do financially? You said you were a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I'm imagining that a bigger segment of your check probably went to some of those endeavors. Were those things that you guys discussed before you guys decided to embark on a role together?
Absolutely. I was doing well when we were before we got married, and being an entrepreneur, there's ups and downs. But over the 20 years, we've done really good. There were some lean times. Most of the time she didn't even have to work, but I found there was a necessity for her to work to feel good about herself. And so I was mainly the breadwinner. But she seemingly supported me in all my harebrained ideas, everything I wanted to do. But she felt, I don't know. I like I said, I always gave her the safe place to discuss anything she didn't agree with or whatever, but she could never really do it. It just
I have a question for you.
It bewilders me, that even in 20 years that she has not told me one sexual fantasy. So that tells you a lot about her being able to open up.
Yeah, after 20 years, that is, and somebody that you practically grew up with, because y'all are not old, at all. So yeah, sometimes I wonder if it could be that someone is telling you something, but you don't hear it because they're not saying it the way you expect to hear it. So you're not receiving it.
I totally understand that concept. And I know how us guys, we can be stubborn and a lady can hint. But I'm telling you, this is what amazes me. And the reason why I went to as far as saying that I don't even know her sexual fantasies, that just shows you the level of intimacy and secrecy that was kept. We didn't talk about bills. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we couldn't have an adult conversation. It drove me crazy.
When you say you couldn't have an adult conversation, did the conversation just break down, or did you just not speak about it at all?
No, she wouldn't share anything. You asked her how she felt about anything. I don't know. I'm not sure. You asked her what her goals was, where she sees this relationship in 5 years. What do you want to do? I don't know. What's your sexual fantasy? I don't know. It drove me crazy.
Wow.
What about traumas in her life prior to you coming into it? Did she have any trauma in her life prior to your coming into it?
None that I can recognize, and none that she would share with me. And I've asked her that plenty of times. She realized that it's a problem that she couldn't share. And I tried to dig, and she swears it was nothing. But it's had to be something, that keeps her from talking to me, her best friend and husband for 20 years, but take that energy, go outside the relationship and begin a relationship with someone else. And,
so
the main thing I wonder, does she share with him now? You know what I'm saying? Or, it just
here's what confuses me about men. As a single woman, I talk to a lot of guys because I like getting their perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
I like, just hearing different ideas. And I generally ask them certain questions, and I never understand, like most of the guys, when I ask them why their relationship didn't work out, they mostly say things like, oh, she never did this or she never did that or whatever. It's just, to me, these things before you even make a commitment to them. These people before you even, like, you'll sleep with them right away. That has no pepper on it. But as far as committing and going to that next, because I talk to a lot of women, I always ask, what is that?
I think that's Lene.
Her fire. So I never understand, like, why when you see these flags, these signs up front, they had to be signs up front, but you guys choose to move forward anyway. And then it's the very thing that breaks up the relationship later on. And
Absolutely.
you actually didn't know.
Absolutely. I knew, I was aware of it. I was so attracted to her spirit. Her family was great. You know what I'm saying? It's everything that came with the package.
Yeah.
That, you know, you think that you can work on it and people is going to evolve. Actually, we had a sit down before we got married, and I discussed to her, you know, the level of intimacy I wasn't satisfied with, and that I didn't want to have a marriage 10 years later where we're sleeping in separate rooms, or, you know, there's no intimacy, and, you know, hey, I'm going to work on that, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, it just progressed, and it just got progressively worse, you know. And part of it, I'm not going to say that, you know, I'm a perfect husband. I'm far from a perfect husband, but I am a good communicator. And I communicate what my thoughts were, my feelings, and everything else. And she had a big problem with that. But, you know, I played a part in the destruction of our marriage, and I own that. You know, the one thing is, it's like, you know, you get tired of trying, you get tired of, you know, trying to engage in the communication, keep the intimacy going. It was me. And, you know, at some time I just felt like I was just bumping my head. Okay, when you're ready to open up with me, when you're ready to, you know, to make love to me, when you, you know, can show me you want me as well, just let me know. You know what I'm saying? And by playing that dangerous game, you know, I left her in a vulnerable space. Did I deserve what happened to me? No, but I'm human, you know, and I just felt like I was the only one putting in the effort.
Yeah, it's tough when you feel like you're the only one putting in the effort. But what about, did you ever, have you ever cheated on her? Because if trust is ever compromised, I can tell you that would kill a relationship.
Yeah,
before you say no,
Well, he already said no. He never did.
Are there any other ways? Well, yeah, but it depends on how you're evaluating cheating. Sometimes it might not actually be a physical act with another person. Maybe it's a job, maybe it's a hobby, maybe it's something else that she feels is encroaching on her space. It doesn't always have to only be, you know,
I understand what you're saying.
like getting down with someone else.
Well, I think we're all guilty of that. By me being an entrepreneur, I work. But, you know, I try to express to her, you know, I have to go get it. It doesn't come to me. I can't punch a clock and have a check in my mailbox or hit my account. This is what I need to do. And we spent a lot of time together. By me being an entrepreneur, it allows me to work from the house. It allows us to travel, go out to eat. So we spent a lot of time together. But a lot of the time, you know, I'm working, and, you know, I'm a slave to the phone as well. So I'm guilty when it comes to that, you know.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, because
but as far as like physical, you know, that cheating that we all are, you know, kind of could allude to, that you've never done that, because what I know is that women will tend to go, you know, take their affections and emotions and stuff elsewhere, because it's sometimes retaliatory, where they're, you know, it's at, you know, because you did something to them. But you know, it's hard, because if you have a person, and I understand exactly where you're coming from, Lavelle, because when you know, you see the flaws, or you see that, I don't want to say flaws, because I don't want to knock anybody, because that's who that, when you see who that person really is, and you think that, well, I could fix that, but I love the way he does this, and it's hard to overlook those things. And I mean, I'm guilty of that too. And then those things that seem so small in the beginning, they absolutely become that major thing that will destroy the relationship. And I know that for a fact from experience. So it's hard. And I think a lot of us go into a relationship thinking, oh, I can tolerate that. But that little thing that you're tolerating becomes that very thing that will crush the entire relationship.
Absolutely. You know, as far as intimacy, you know, we have problems in and out of relationship. You go through waves and you go through phases. She went through a phase where she was, you know, had some female problems, and for 3 years, you know, our sex life or intimacy was almost non-existent. You know, she pretty much bled every day for 3 years. She had to have surgery, blood transfusion. That affected our already fragile intimacy.
Yeah.
And so that was a long period. And she finally got surgery and got over it. And, you know, but we lost something that, you know, it was still fragile. And it's almost like rebuilding every time you make love, because it's been so long, months, we go months without doing it, or, you know, and there was no really intimacy, sharing the feelings and anything, you know, and that, you know, that killed our marriage. That led to, you know, her going outside the marriage, and, you know, which I, you know.
But see, that's the part that I, you know, not that I sit around like pondering this, but I'm just, since we're having this conversation, you know, there's more to it on her side though, because if you're that willing and able partner who's being patient and being, you know, doing all those things that you know to do, and so she has all of that right there, but for her to decide that she wants to take that part of herself elsewhere, there's something else to it. And
you know, I was gonna add, when you were saying that, you know, sometimes women take their emotions out of it and take it elsewhere. And I think another reason why they do it is if they are lacking the intimacy. So maybe that's a ship that passed. I can tell you, without intimacy in a relationship, you're probably not going to have much of anything. And women, I like to think, unless a woman's just an outright whore, you know, some women are just whores, sorry. But, you know, if you don't give her the affection that she needs, the attention that she needs, and sometimes it's not sex, it's just, you know, attention. It's like, make me feel special, make me feel safe. If she doesn't get that, I promise you, because I think by nature, women are loyal. I like to think that they're naturally loyal until a man cheats on her. You know, when the trust becomes compromised, or the intimacy goes away, or the sex goes away, it's gonna have a profound effect. I promise you that.
Absolutely, and like I said, I accept my role in it. But it was always fragile because of her unwillingness to initiate any kind of intimacy. And 20 years together, she initiated sex twice. So there was a lot of things that were abnormal, but I loved her. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, not even being able to share what you like and what you dislike, you know, I had to find out on my own, you know, through 20 years of reading a woman's body when you're having sex or whatever, you know, but never a discussion. And it's not normal. It just drove me crazy. So it gets to the point where, you know, hey, okay, let me know when you're ready. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I like to feel like I'm wanted too. I like to feel like I'm needed too, you know, and, you know, men have a tendency to buy and shower with gifts. That's their love language and stuff. And I understand that too. You know, I would, you know, buy a car or buy a fur coat. When I come home from work, I expected you to be naked under that fur coat. You know what I'm saying? But none of this ever happened.
Hold on. Let me ask you this. Let me ask this question. When you were dating, what was it like? I mean, how was she communicating then? Because I mean, that's the beginning of the relationship, and that's going to tell you what what's going to happen in the future.
Well,
so that's
you know,
like the foundation.
when we're dating, we're always dating someone's representative, of course.
That's
you know,
true.
That's a
and
fact.
things are fresh
True.
and things are
But
new.
like the first 3 years, let's say the first 3 years before you got married.
It was problems. It was intimacy problems, and I voiced my opinion then. You know,
Wow.
because we dated 6 months. I got engaged, and then it was 1.5 years before we got married. Before we got married, I sat down and had this conversation about the intimacy. You know, the lack of intimacy and the lack of effort. You know what I'm saying, on her half. You know, I know she enjoyed this. She enjoyed sex. She enjoyed me, but for some reason, she wouldn't let herself go. You know what I'm saying? And you really can't experience true love or that person if you're not sharing intimacy. And I'm not just talking about sex, just your secrets, being vulnerable to that person.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking it has to be more to it, because if she you may never know what it is. And, you know, so I think that the most important thing at this stage of where things are is to not, and it's so hard to move. People say, oh, you got to get over it. Oh, you got to move on. It's hard to do that when you don't know what happened. Like I used to think closely, like, who cares? But that is such an important component
And
to
when
it.
they're unwilling to share it with you, that's the thing that's, kind of like disrespectful for all the time we were together. It's like, not that I'm going to judge you, but you weren't able to share it with me throughout these 20 years. And something like this happens and you still refuse to share, even when, we had the discussion when I found out about the other guy and, I'm asking these questions. It's like, it's not that you don't have fantasies. It's just, why won't you share them with me? Everybody has. Yeah.
Lavelle, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I have a few questions because you talked a lot about your love. I'm not male bashing because I can relate to a lot of what you're saying from a female perspective in a past relationship, in my past marriage. But you're talking a lot about your love. You talked a lot about your love language, but what was her love language? And my other thing is, you're going on about like her faults and stuff like that. Did you guys ever consider any kind of counseling or anything like that? Because it sounds like there's some other issues going on.
Well, there's some underlying issues. She lost her mother, and a lot of stuff changed when she lost her mother. As far as she said, she stopped believing in God. She wasn't able to have kids, so that was a big issue. Really, all she wanted to do was be a mother. She didn't have really aspirations of a career or anything like that. So when that didn't happen, so I realized these things, but she would never talk to me about them. You know what I'm saying? And she carried all this, and I got a little inkling of it, after our relationship fell apart and we had some discussions, she shared some things with me, but there's a lot of interpersonal things that she kept, and she kept from me. I mean, I'm not equipped to deal with it or help the situation, anything, if you haven't given me tools, like I said, I am no means perfect, but you're always going to know where I stand. You can always know where I feel. And I think that's fair,
Where in the timeline was that when she lost her mom, and then later when she found out that she was unable to?
This was about 2 years before. It's about 3 years ago, but she found out early on in the relationship that we tried to have kids and she couldn't have kids.
And how did the two of you kind of address that issue?
We talked about in vitro and adopting and but I really think she wanted more so to have her natural kids. So she lived vicariously through her nieces and nephews, her friends. She always had babies and she always take care of their babies and trying to be their nanny. And what I'm saying? So, and I realized where it was coming from, but again, she never talked to me about it, but she told my brother-in-law at one point that she was thinking about committing suicide, and he had to tell me. He told me that,
Do you ever think about, did you ever like ponder to yourself, like, why wouldn't she communicate with you? Is there something in your personality that made her not feel safe to do so?
I don't know. I mean, I have no problem communicating with everybody else. I've
Your
always
name is L-O-V-E-L.
Oh, I know. No, I mean, no. I mean, we don't even argue. You know what I'm saying? We never argued. So I realized that her personality is kind of passive. She has a passive personality, and she's kind of docile. So I'm careful with her. I'm gentle with her. She was my wife. I loved her. She was my best friend.
So if I can interrupt just really quick, because one of the viewers just said, I think women are scared to reveal too much. People tend to use your weaknesses against you. And I feel that. I feel that in my soul.
I feel it.
I feel that.
I feel it. But let me tell you the level that I go to try to create a safe place. When I found out she was having an affair, I had a heart attack. I was in the hospital 3 days. She was out of town. When she came home to candlelight because I know she's a runner emotionally. I wanted to make sure that she felt safe and that she can share and tell me everything. And of course, she denied everything until I have to put the proof. But I had candlelight, I had a bath, I had all that, because I was ready
after the heart attack.
Yeah, I was ready to roll up my sleeves and fight for my marriage. Okay, this is our biggest test. And you tell me on our first big test in our marriage, you bail out, I show up with tactical gear and you show up with a fishing pole.
Mm.
Wow.
Wow.
So she had
That's
already checked
really,
out.
so
She
were,
had
were
already
you
checked out.
angry?
Yeah, she
Were
has.
you at all angry? Did you express any of that disappointment to her?
I was, oh, absolutely. You know, we stayed up all night, cried, you know, do all the things that happens at the end of a relationship, you know. But she still couldn't share, and she still was lying to me. She told me she broke it off. She never did. I didn't find out till like 2 months ago. She was still seeing the guy. I was still supporting her, helping her pay her bills, sending her lunch every day, flowers, all that, until I found out she was still seeing the
You
guy.
know, everyone. You know how many women want a man like like you?
I know. I'm
I
like,
know.
wow.
Oh my
Wow. I was
God.
just about to
This,
say,
this guy's out of
listen,
town.
I
This
got
guy's out
friends,
of town.
Lavelle.
Listen, no, what you doing after the show?
Right.
This
Right.
is
What you
somebody.
doing after the show?
This is, it was it was somebody that she dated when she was 20, and a couple that's a friends of ours, was supposed to be friends of ours. Actually, you know, she confided in them what's going on in the marriage or whatever, and they decided to hook her up with this guy. He lives in West Virginia, and you know, she had been talking to on the phone with him for 3 months. And you know, the friend lied and said, "Hey, I'm having surgery. Can B help me come up here?" The guy stayed at the house, flew in town in Cleveland. She went up there, said she was helping a friend. So you know, she was cultivating, taking that energy and putting it somewhere else
Wow.
instead of the marriage. You know, and after a year of lying and saying that, you know, she broke it off, she wasn't with him, I found out she was with him, and that was it. You know, I served her with papers, and then even then, she never responded. You know, it's just so disrespectful. You know what I'm saying?
Out of
I
curiosity,
She's a runner, emotionally, whatever. She just runs.
Well,
You know, and
Lavelle, I have to say, because I'm viewing some of the comments right now, and
Mm.
it says men need to be. One of the viewers said men need to also understand that intimacy begins before the bedroom, which I have to agree with. And I think,
absolutely,
well,
absolutely.
I think that there may have been a disconnect in that, in the love language, in the whole bedroom, the whole
Listen,
communication thing. I
listen.
think there was just a lot of disconnect.
It is. That's one thing that I clearly understood, even early in our marriage when we sat down and had that talk. And when I first said, I've never just talked about sex. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm kind of wired the same way. You know what I'm saying? I want to feel needed. I want to feel appreciated as well. So the breakdown in the sex is just a byproduct of not being able to communicate your feelings.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
one thing that I will say, one thing that I will say, I know just from like an outsider looking at, like, you know, of course, social media is not the truth, but whenever I would see you guys together, your pictures, your videos, and everything, that was gold. I was like, oh my God, I love to see people happy, and you seem to really be so happy, you know, in your relationship with her, and you know, you did play the little tricks on each other and pranks or whatever with the pictures and sleeping, all that stuff I thought was so sweet. So I like, just for me, just knowing a little bit more about him, I could say that, and knowing what I think I know about Lavelle, he is definitely that guy that is not just trying to smash and dash. Do you know what I mean? You can tell he definitely was putting work in. The food, the restaurants, the lifestyle that you created for your family was really beautiful. And so, and I don't know it's not my business to know, but it's just interesting to know, from a woman's perspective, what it really was that made her feel that she had to go outside to do that with somebody else. That, and I think, you know what, here's what I think. This is the analytical part of me stepping in.
Go ahead. Tell us what you think, Pam.
So, you know what, here's the thing. It's hard. Like, I've had 2 marriages, and and I'm still friendly with both of them because that's just, how it is, whatever. But when you have something negative in a relationship with a person, it's so much easier to forget to kind of squash all that, and you can have like a brand new relationship with no kind of burdens with a new person. And so I think that the fact that she couldn't have kids with you is the major part of it. And so you probably were a symbol of what she could not do, what she felt was an inadequacy. That's what she sees when she sees you. And so with this new guy, it's like, well, I'm too old to have kids now. I don't have to worry about that. So now I can start fresh without that stuck in the back of my mind, or thinking that you somewhere that, you know, could be holding that against her without saying it, but she may have felt that way, you know, because women are just crazy. So that could be a part of why it was, because the whole time that we talked about this, I was just trying to figure out what would make a woman that you're being faithful to, and, you know, all those other great things, turn their back on you. And that's all that I could come up with. But I think I'm onto something. And I don't
Can I
think
interject for a second?
to change that.
Can I interject just quickly for a second? I would posit that there's a very strong chance that Lavelle's impression and his understanding of the relationship going in was slanted. And this isn't like like against you, but I just want you to consider the possibility. I think that you went in very much in love, very much viewing the landscape a certain way, but not seeing any of the roadblocks in order to sufficiently build a foundation with her. Okay, now why do I say that? Going into my marriage, I had my own preconceived notions of what marriage should be because I had a template to follow. My husband had similar preconceived notions. I think the difference, and I can only speak from what I understand and know, just in general about relationships. So when I'm looking at the landscape and I'm looking at other couples who've been in this for as long as we have, who some made it, some didn't, some are still figuring it out. The difference between each and every one of those was my husband and I went in with a very specific understanding of who the other person was. I tried to get to know him in terms fundamentally, just what are some of your triggers? Where are your boundaries? And then so that you know what mine are, here's my list. We didn't always agree on money. We didn't always agree on how we were raising our kids. But when we hit those kinds of snags, it was very specific how we would have to deal with it. When our kids would group up against us, hey, it's closet time. We got to go in that closet. Let's sit down. Let's try to figure out how we're going to deal with these little dictators because, they're definitely fucking up the ground. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm concerned that the reason why I'm pointing this out is for when you do go into your next phase, when you do go into that next relationship, I want you to at least have some tools that you can use that you can kind of weed through some of that minutia. Because when you're first in love, it's beautiful, it's great, everything's awesome. You're like ditching friends for pussy, it's awesome. And then you kind of get into the meat and bones of it, and that shit is real, like it's real. So I just want you to think about it from this perspective. When you went in, you guys were both deeply in love. I think she had a lot more baggage than you knew about.
Yeah.
I think there was so much that a large part was she didn't know how to communicate it due to her own guilt over not sharing it at the outset. That's not something you could have fixed. So I want you to definitely take that nugget and put it in your pocket. But also look at the fact that you might have already had shot in yourself in the foot to begin with before y'all even got anywhere. So you're standing there and you're trying to communicate, and you're thinking your information is getting into her. And she's actually not, she's like blocking it. So everything you're saying, she's like, I'm not ready for this. I'm not really there with you yet, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And her reticence in sharing that with you is what your downfall probably led to. Now, granted, there were a lot of big ticket items that you guys tried to traverse together, but I think in the larger scheme of it, I think you both ended up not being able to kind of continue down this path together as a result of a lot of her baggage. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. I don't think that you're completely out of the game, but as you go into this next phase, really try to look at, does this person match up with what I'm looking for? And
Yeah.
really give yourself enough time to figure out what you want.
Yeah.
Figure out, what I liked about this marriage that I was in, what I didn't like about this marriage that I was in, what I wish I could have worked on in this marriage that I was in. I understand that you're definitely cognizant of your behavior and how you did or didn't contribute to what went wrong. But I also want you to forgive her for where she went wrong. Because I think in you seeking out that little nugget of forgiveness, you'll be able to move forward cleanly.
Well, let's talk about forgiveness for a second.
Well, yeah, because I don't think that she's capable of really giving you anything that you need in order to move on, LaBelle. It's really going to be on you.
Not emotionally. She can't.
I agree with Terry. Let's talk about forgiveness. I agree with Terry.
Well, forgiveness at the end of the day is always for yourself. It is not for the other person.
But I want to talk about forgiveness. I want to talk about forgiveness on several levels. Heather, you mentioned infidelity. You said he cheated on you for one last time. So apparently that was a pattern. And I know a lot of women, there's some women who might, like, one time you cheat on them, it's one and done, you're gone. But there's some of us that forgive. And damn well you shouldn't forgive again, but you do. And then it turns into something else. Let's hear from you what that was like for you. How many
like in previous relationships, it was like, okay, you cheat on me, I'm done. And with this last one, it would I'm realizing now why, now that I'm learning what narcissists are. But him, I forgave him every time. Like every time I thought I was done, like he'd come back and I'm going to change, I love you, blah blah blah. And I think it'd be like, he's trying really hard and, oh, here, you could take my phone, you could see everything I'm doing. But he'd still find ways to go around that.
Yep.
He sounds like a Gemini.
And I do like with a lot of men.
I'm a Gemini. I take offense.
Women cheating on men, it's like, oh, that's it. I can't forgive them. And I'm like, why do we give them so many chances?
Yes.
And chances are, chances are, if she's on the foot and you cheated on him, like most men are not. Lavelle, you can help us out here. Like a man could cheat and cheat and cheat. And the one day when a woman because like I said, most women are loyal until you fuck with them, And so some women are going to get you back. And, the men aren't so forgiving as we are.
No.
Correct.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So Heather,
like, why did I never cheat on him? All the times he cheated on me. I mean, I should have cheated on him.
No, but you're not built that way. And women don't go into relationships with like, I'm getting his ass back. If we don't really, we're not built like that. But I guess my question to you, Heather, is what was the final straw for you that kind of forced your hand?
Actually, like it was the beginning of this year. Like I had been estranged with my oldest son, and he was having problems, and I'm like, look, I don't want you, it's January, and him and my ex did not get along whatsoever. And so our relationship was estranged, and so when he became homeless, I'm like, I don't want you sleeping on the streets in the cold. If you need to, you can come here. And I think that was kind of the tipping point, because after my ex broke up with me, he was like, I didn't want it to be like you choosing between me and Zave, because I knew you'd choose him.
So that's not his son. That's not his biological son.
No.
Okay.
It was supposed to be, unfortunately, my third marriage. My first one, he was abusive. So I left him. My second one, he was a good guy, and I thought we were gonna last. And next thing I know, he asked for a divorce. And while I was going through that divorce is when I met this one. So of course I was at a vulnerable spot.
Yeah, your esteem is like down there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but he, when he broke up with me, he moved out the next day, was already living with some other woman 2 days later. And
God damn.
Oh, wow.
What's that
Time. Oh, my goodness.
Damn.
yeah, and I kind of backslid once, and then he started doing his same stuff, like, oh, I want you back, and this and that. And then soon as we spent a weekend together, he started acting like a jerk again and just treating me like crap. And I'm like, I can't
But
do
why
this no
spend the
more.
weekend
Like,
together?
huh?
Like, why spend the weekend together? 2 days
He
later,
wanted to
after
get
he
back
broke up with
together,
you,
of
he's
course.
moved on. Enough. That's like, let it go. I don't
Yeah.
know. I have a problem with that.
And I want to
I'm one
ask
and
you,
done.
Renee, how do you
I'm
handle
one and done. Seriously.
And
You know,
that
if
was,
you've
that's
moved
how I'd
on, then I'm
always
done.
been. Except for
No,
this
but
guy.
see, no. I think there are times where it's like, you know what
No,
you're
there are no
familiar with,
times.
and
No. He's got no times for you. You got no times for him. There are no times. No.
Right. Exactly.
Sorry.
I feel
I
the
mean,
same
Yeah.
way.
seriously, it's ridiculous. I think women need to have more self-esteem. Really, we need to like feel
Wow.
more for ourselves
Yeah.
and have more self-esteem.
Well,
He
Renee,
moved
I have a
on
question
2
for
days
Renee.
later,
You think
and
and
then-
you're going to take him back for a weekend, and you
And-
think
but
that's what's going to happen? No.
So thank
I'm
God.
sorry.
In Heather's defense, in
I
Heather's
have a
defense,
question for Lene. I have a question
Yes.
for Lene. Because one of the
Yes.
viewers said, I think for every forgiveness, there becomes a weakness. What do you think about that? Do you think, like, in a situation like that, do you think that's true?
No.
Yeah, I think so, because I think with him, like, it became like, okay, he always thought, even now, like, he just contacted me several times since I haven't gone back, trying to get like 2 days after we were supposed to marry, which was in August, he came back and he's like, I love you, I want to come home.
No.
If you take me back, I'll change. We can go today and file for my divorce. And I'm like, are you even listening
No
to
thanks.
yourself?
Do you hear what he said? If you take me
I'm
back
like,
out, we can file for my divorce.
Yeah, point.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you listening to that? Like, do you hear that?
Tag me in.
And that's what I'll say. I'll say this coronavirus is really helping to keep get your mind right, because when
Yes.
you're, if people can say whatever they want, anybody can say, oh, be strong, you got to do this, or don't do this, or don't do that. But every single person, every single one of us move how we move, because that's how we move. But I think that Corona has stepped in to help us get into ourselves a little bit more, so we don't have to think about what other people think we should do. You know what you need to do for yourself. And there may be a point where you might feel like you want to go back to him. And you know what? The thing is about life, you could do that if you choose to. And nobody, people can judge you or say whatever they want. But if that's your choice, that's on you, as long as you know that you'll deal with whatever comes after that. But the thing about that, you're human and you're a woman. And the thing about women, we have a right to change our minds. But we could also.
We do, but have some self-respect for yourself.
Well,
Like,
really, at a moment where she want to do what she wants to do, and if it means just getting a good session in with somebody, then that's her choice, and so be it.
Well, here's the question I have a question for Lene. Like, do you really think that when a woman forgives, that it's a self-esteem issue? You really think that?
Yes.
I do. I believe that a woman lets a man back over and over and over again because they feel something less within themselves. I think that they think that they can't get anyone else but him.
What need, right?
They can't. There's no one else other than him that they can get, or hook or whatever. And so they just have to go for him. And I just think, you know what? If a man shits on you, shit on him.
Oh, go on, Renee.
How dare you shit on me? No, how dare you shit on me? I deserve more. And so, you know what? Bye. Seriously, I just move on. There are too many fish in the sea.
Exactly. That's true. There's too many in the sea.
If you don't want me,
Can I just?
you don't want me,
in the sea.
then I don't want you.
Can I tag in real quick off of that?
Go.
I think in this situation, I think the defining factor here is that I believe earlier on you labeled him as a narcissist. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
The narcissist. Okay. Narcissist operates real different than your average jackass.
Yeah.
I am wholeheartedly and 100% with you on the, if you roll over and you shoot me, guess what, bitch? I'm definitely shooting you. You're definitely going to get that. You're going to get that smoke. But I want to interject and look at the profile of a narcissist. So when you have a narcissist, that person is so self-absorbed and so self-aggrandizing that they don't understand how to make their day function without you as a cog in it. And when you're in a relationship with someone like that, what they have the tendency to do is groom you. While they're grooming you to make you think you're crazy, they're using very specific language that, as that language is being interjected, it is making you self-reflect. It's making you look at how you're operating, how you're moving. So it's, baby, you know, I really love that outfit on you, but I would love it so much better if you put a sweater on. It's simple things like that, because it always starts out small and then becomes bigger. Now, if you're someone who is not, you know, like a narcissistic individual, that kind of behavior is coming at you from out of left field. And if you came into that relationship with a pre-existing trauma, you're kind of already fucked before you got started. I believe you said that there were some abusive issues in the two previous relationships. So now you haven't totally healed from either of those two relationships. And then this motherfucker just pops up on the scene like, hey, boo, I got what you need. You know what I'm saying? So now he becomes that escape from the previous issue. We haven't
That's
even
all
really
the low self-esteem that I'm talking about.
You are absolutely right about it being low self-esteem.
You know, I'm concerned
about you gotta identify where that came from so she can heal to move forward. If she doesn't identify that, she's fucked anyway, because she's gonna catch another one. Because
I just think it's too much psychoanalyzing. If he doesn't want you, then you don't need him. Like, you know, if he doesn't want you, then move on. There's too many other men out there. That's it. Bottom line.
Here's the thing. I'm curious. I really want to talk about this because so there's so many layers to it. First of all, like there's some guys out, like if a guy cheated on me, screw you, kiss my butt, you're out, right? But I am guilty of forgiving somebody more than once, more than twice, more than twice. And I don't have, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So
Why?
Listen, I'll tell you why if you let me.
Listen, Lene is my woman tonight, okay?
For real.
Lene is my woman tonight.
Like, I said no.
Here's the thing. Everybody moved the way that they move because that's how they move. And I don't think that it's anybody's any better for not moving that way. That person's moving that way because that's on them. And so, Tara, what you said?
Totally agree.
I want to
totally agree. I just want to know why.
I want to finish unpacking this. Let me say this. So I've forgiven somebody more than twice, and I have no self-esteem issues. I feel like I can get any man I want. That's never been a problem for me. I wanted that particular dude. He wasn't rejecting me when he did what he did. It wasn't a rejection of me. Many times when men cheat or do whatever it is that they do, it has very little to do with us. It's more their problem. But I guess for me, I was trying to, I wanted my thing to work with that particular person. And it was my pick because I could have walked out in any second. He was. I don't know the answer. That's why I wanted to talk about it. But I know for sure, for me, it's not a self-esteem issue. And he can't tear himself away from me. I mean, he couldn't tear himself away from me.
And there you have it. And that's the point that I'm trying to make. There's a reason that every single one of us stay in a relationship, move on. Oh, and we could be, with fire and brimstone, and he says this, and I'm going to do that, and that's how you move. But because we're women want love. Most women want love. Me personally, no, I've done it like several times, and I'm not the relationship girl. So, and that's cool. But there are other women who are, and they want that, and they want that love, and they want all that stuff, and they're gonna go through all of the ups and the downs of that, and the trying to make it work, and and calling their friends, aggrandizing over a situation. And I think as women, instead of us like slapping them in the face and trying to shake them out of it, I think that we have to be a little bit more understanding and listen to them, and try to, and not to say you have to be gentle, because I'm far from that, but I don't think that we need to judge a person or another woman for choices that she made that affect her life.
Just to interject for a second from one of the viewers, Gianna says, I'm sorry, Gianna. She says it's comfortability, like a person being comfortable. A lot of times it's just like you're comfortable.
Yeah,
and you have a lot
Right.
of
And then
time
some people don't want to have to start over again.
Yeah.
Learning somebody and getting to know them and that whole thing.
I'll tell
It's
you
an investment.
again.
You don't want to start this shit all over again with the next nigga, because it's like, what the like?
Listen, I broke mine in. I ain't giving it up.
Let me say this, because it's gonna piss. I know it's gonna piss some of you off as well. Since we're talking about women and their choices in their relationships and the stuff that they decide to put up with. So I'm gonna say, and I don't want to use the word. This is gonna light you guys up, and I know it. So I'm ready.
Yeah, go ahead and piss me off, Terry. Go ahead.
So here's the thing. So every woman is different in her relationship. And a lot of it is the energy that is created between the two people. And I am definitely, I guess I'm going to say old school instead of saying, I don't like to use the word subservient, but just for lack of another word, I'm going to say
Don't say that word. No, fuck that. Don't say that word.
Okay. All right. Accommodating. I'm very accommodating to my man. I guess I grew up watching my mom, how she handled my dad, and how she handled her 9 children. She took care of us. She was always, like, I'm gonna cook and clean and darn, and so I'm okay with that, And he could go up there and climb up on the roof. He could take out the garbage, do those things that men do. I'm okay with gender roles, and I do cater to my man. So,
yeah.
No wrong with that.
Okay. I feel like there's a butt coming. What are you going for?
Yeah, but what you get ready to piss us off about?
Yeah.
No. That don't piss me off. I'm here for it.
I'm here for that. I'm down with that.
I have to
fine
say,
with it as long as he's done something to earn it. What has he shown you within
you
himself
don't have to do something to
that
earn
that type of behavior?
Hold on. I have to say, as a millennial, because we're always the ones that's like, oh, these new age women, blah, blah, blah.
Yes,
I love to cater to my man. When my man is good to me, like, listen, I got you.
Yeah, no.
You're gonna be good to me, baby. I got you. You can have in my Shirley Caesar voice and my Shirley Caesar, the greens, beans, tomatoes, potatoes, all that. You name it, baby. I got you. I love it. Listen, if you good to me, you have my heart. I got you. I don't have a problem with that. So I'm with Terry on that. And that's as a new age woman, as you guys call it, the millennial, because I am a millennial. So
how old are you? How old are you?
30. I'm 30.
So you're a Gen Zer. You're not millennial.
No. I'm not a Gen Zer. No. I am a millennial. Do the research, boo.
My daughter.
Like 1995. Listen, do your research, boo. Do your research.
What I do all day.
Do
You're
your
not a
research,
millennial.
Pam.
Millennials
Do
are still
your
in college.
research,
You're not
girl.
in college.
I
Yet.
am a millennial, point blank,
Okay.
period, and proud to be.
I mean, it's okay to want to do that, but that's not what. Let's just talk technical. I'm gonna just tell you what you are. They'll carry
No,
on.
ma'am, you can't tell me what I am, but go ahead. I'll let you proceed. Go ahead.
Period.
I'll let Alexa tell your ass. Alexa, what's the definition of millennial?
Yes,
Millennium is usually defined as a period of 1,000
Alexa,
years.
stop.
For more,
Alexa, stop.
What year were you born?
Pamela got a phone, baby. Look
Yeah,
it
I'm
up.
looking at it right here.
Oh, I'm so done.
So it's generation. I can't see shit. Who am I kidding?
Put your glasses on. Before you check me.
What year were you born?
1990.
Are you a millennial?
Yes, I am. Thank you. Woo, Mari. Somebody call Mari because she's trying to. Somebody call Mari. Okay. Thank you.
Listen,
Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Listen, that was
Y'all carry on with your show.
But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. What
No.
I didn't make my point. What I was going to say is that I think women throughout time, from the golden age until now, wanted to cater to their men. So it's not a time thing. It's just how women are bred and how women are raised.
I wasn't ready to do that.
And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. And me personally, I am a lot older than most of y'all. And so what I will say to that is that I think that we all come to a point where either you're going to cater or you're not. And sometimes you make a point, you come to a point in your life where you're going to do a little bit more for yourself. And that just comes from a lot of experience.
Pam, I have to,
and that's what I have to say about self-esteem.
I have to agree with you in that retrospect, Pam, because when you said, "Oh, it's not about the time frame or whatever," I think naturally as women, and like Terry, y'all probably going to beat me up for this, but when you have a good man who's leading and who's doing what he's supposed to do, like women naturally are nurturers. And we want to do for you. We want to take care of you. Like my man, I'm happy, like except when he's being an asshole.
Well, no.
But when he's, I naturally want to do things for him. I'm naturally like, hey, I got you. I'm naturally like, hey, I'll run you a bath. I'll cook this. I'll do that. I'll do whatever. But it's a whole. But it's not the time thing. Like Pamela said, it's the natural process of a woman.
Well, yeah,
I think that it's predicated on how you were raised.
All those things, because like Terry, my mother did it forever until she decided she didn't want to do it anymore, and that's just how it is. And true enough, for me, it's like as long as you're doing for me, and I don't mean financially or anything, but just doing for me in things that I need to be done, then I'm going to do for you things that I know you enjoy me doing for you, whether it be intimacy or any of that stuff. So I don't know, but I just think that I think that the issues or the gap that we have with men will probably go on until the end of time, because
while they're still not considering us equals, you're absolutely right. It's going to continue.
And even if they do consider us equal, it's just something about the language that it's like Excel. It's like Excel. You can know 99% of Excel, but if that 1% that you don't know is what that job needs, then you don't know Excel. That's not a relationship. If you do all these things, but that one thing that I don't need, you're not doing, then we have a problem. And so, and I think that's the thing, and like going back to Lavelle, it's like it doesn't matter how much he put into it or how much he was willing to, to accept or understand, because it sounds like he understood exactly what he was getting into when he made the decision to marry his wife. I don't think that anything that he could have done would matter if it wasn't what she needed, whatever that was. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and I don't think there's ever any answer. And like we all could sit here and think that we have the answer, think that we have the final, word
Well,
on.
we don't. Nobody does.
No.
One thing that we do know is one thing that for me, that would be important is how do you move on from that? Because whatever we did in the past and whatever happened can definitely affect how you move forward in your next relationship. But how do you manage that in order to be successful to move on and also get over that past?
So I like a male perspective now. So Lavelle, a woman is subservient, or she's accommodating. She runs your bath. She cooks you badass meals. She doesn't argue. She knows her place. She does what she's supposed to do. And I say her place. I'm saying that.
Right.
Why do men cheat?
I don't know. I'm not a cheater. I've always been in a long distance relationship, but I have a ton of friends. You know what I'm saying? I understand. I grew up with, I got 8 sisters. So I learned, my perspective on relationships by looking at them. Look how they treat their boyfriends. Look how they play.
So why do men cheat?
With suckers.
So why do men cheat?
It's immaturity. When the conversations that I have with people I know and some of my friends, it's just immature and selfishness. That's all I could say. You know what I'm saying? It's not that they don't love the women and this and that. It's just thinking that, it's a status that, something that they have to conquer to fulfill something within themselves. It's really insecurity, what it boils down to. And I think that goes for men and women. I found out a lot about my wife through her infidelity, how insecure she was, about her career goals, not being able to have kids, a lot of stuff that she kept from me. And it's a lot of stuff that needs to be worked on. If you feel like you have to go outside of your relationship to get something that you need, and you can't take that energy and use it and work to make what you're in or what you invested 20 years in better, then there's something wrong with you.
It's a character flaw.
Yeah.
That's what we're calling it.
Absolutely. I think it is.
Well, there is something wrong with that person. It's not about the person that you're cheating on. It's about the person that's doing the cheating.
It's insecurity.
I think I was in college the first time ever, actually. No,
I think a lot of times men always think that there's something better. There's always something better on the other side.
It ain't even that. It ain't even that. Because you can have the baddest one at home. You know what I'm saying? You can have the baddest wife. But if it's something inside of you that you're lacking, that's causing you to feel like you need to conquer another woman, or you need to put something, another notch on your belt, that's insecurity. That's what it boils down to.
So I have to say right there, when you say if you feel like there's something you lacking, no, cheaters are naturally cheaters. So
I come from a long line of them. She's absolutely right.
If you're gonna cheat, you're gonna cheat. It's not about lack because you know
You
what?
don't think insecurity? I mean, when you get down to the bottom of
what
it,
are they insecure about? They got a whole bunch of people out there that's willing to fuck up.
Please, hold on. So Lavelle, you said, you think an insecurity? So that means there's a lack on your end. So naturally you want to cheat. That's not on her end, because if I'm doing what I need to do or whatever, blah, 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 and you're naturally a cheater because you're insecure, a woman or a man can't make you feel insecure. If you have insecurities, it's because you're already insecure.
That's what he said. That's exactly what he said.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. You have to get to the root of it.
And that's a part of that person's character. That's a part of that person's character and their makeup.
Something is causing them to seek that, that they're unfulfilled. You know what I'm saying? And that they feel the next person, or by sleeping with this woman is gonna make me feel better, or I got these many women. It's a mentality. It's insecurity. It's something beneath all of that.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
But they should definitely pay for the couch time and get it over with instead of fucking up other people's lives. Period.
Absolutely.
And that's the bottom line. And that, where there's so many people. I mean, I've experienced it on a couple of occasions where, and that's all it is. But then, like years later, when you talk to that person, and you know, as you know, because now you don't have any emotions invested in it. They could be a little bit more open, and then it's like, damn, that's what it was.
Right.
Yeah, no, I don't think I've ever actually spoken to anyone that attempted to cheat on me before I married my husband, because once it's over, it's over. There's no point in looking back. I don't need to do a postmortem. You fucked up. We're done. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
Period.
well, I mean, I guess when you have, I think as you get older and you start having kids and things like that and involved,
Yeah,
into
no,
there's a
it's so
certain,
very cut and dry. I feel like at that point, it's even more black and white.
yeah,
You
but
have
I
to get
mean,
together,
yeah,
so
I mean,
now the
until you
only
experience
interaction
it, then
you
you
have
don't,
is
and
for
until
the
you experience
dick,
it, you don't know.
you know? At that point, there's no real need to sustain an actual friendship. You really only need to sustain a line of communication that's sustainable, so that you can communicate with respect to the rearing of your children. But on a more intimate, where you guys can like be friends and buddy, there's no point in doing that.
Yeah, no, I am like really, really, really good friends with my first husband. Really good friends with him, and I think because we're a lot older, like a lot older than most of y'all, and it's
No, I'm
there's a certain level of maturity that comes over time. And well, he's in his 70s. Let's just put it that way. Okay, so and we could have certain conversations where we actually go back and it's like, damn, if and it's a mature conversation that two adults could have without any kind of all of that going on, and not to say that is cathartic, because I can take it or leave it, but I can say that it's interesting to hear years later their perspective on things as they mature and get older, and that hopefully nobody here will have to experience that, because y'all will stay married forever and ever, and that's the goal. That's the goal. But
at some point they grow up, because I was thinking men never mature.
Well, they do. They actually do. They actually
Yeah,
do.
but he's damn near
No.
80. He's damn near 80.
Right, you guys got that. Yeah, but no. Well, no. Yeah, but no, he actually did with his marriage after he actually did after with his marriage after me, but we're talking now and he's in his 70s.
Right.
So he did his next wife was the right person for him. So I would never say, beat him up because I wasn't the right person for him. And I think that people just, us as human beings, we get, especially us women, and I'm going to say Black women, because that it is what it is. We could stand on our principles, and we could be as tough, and we could fight, and we could put our boxing gloves on, and we could beat the shit out of most people. But I think sometimes when you just stop and listen and just take it down a couple of notches, you could actually hear and see things a little bit differently. That could, that you and actually learn from it. Even though you think you may know a lot, there's a lot that you can learn if you just take a couple of breaths and listen.
Pamela, you preaching tonight, honey. You better go ahead and preach.
No. I'm never that, but I'm just saying, because I've had a lot of experience. My son is almost 40 years old. So I've had a lot of experience.
Oh, hold on, Pam, because you look 40. Wait a minute.
Right. So I'm just saying, so there's a lot of experience that comes, from, and I'm only trying to impart what from experiences that I've had. But I just know what I want, what I pray for. And this is why I came onto this show tonight, because I don't do all this. Is I want to see Heather heal. I want to see LaBelle heal, because I know what y'all are going through. Yeah. And I hope that, I don't know if this was the right forum, but hopefully just to know that there are women out there who can actually make you think a little bit about what you may think you have done or didn't do or whatever. But hopefully tonight helped you guys, just think a little bit differently about what you were doing. And I think that it's easy to say, oh, the best way to get over somebody is get under somebody else, or whatever all those cliches are and all that stuff. But Heather, I thank God. Heather, I'm so glad to hear that you've had time to focus on yourself and work on things that and we could talk about you may be insecure and all that stuff, and that may be true, but you're getting the opportunity to work on those things, and I applaud you for that, and keep doing that. And I think all of us are available to talk to you. I am. We could talk all day. about anything you want to talk about. If it can help you and you help me get through whatever it is we're dealing with, because I think our journey started at around the same time. The same as you, Lavelle. You're my boy. You know I love you to death, and
Love you too.
and we're gonna make a whole bunch of money anyway. And I got to work on my cable situation too.
Okay.
So with all of that, I think that we've been on this for like what, an hour and a half. And this was it was a good show because we went over time without going nuts. I enjoyed the conversation, and hopefully we'll get to do something like this again real soon. So Terry, I don't know if you want to wrap it up.
Yeah, there's still so much more to talk about in this area because I'm Terry Demeen and I need help. I'm never gonna lie. So yeah, there's so much more. You guys, you're welcome to come back at any time. You know, we're here every Sunday, 7 o'clock, talking about hard to talk about topics. You know, and every week the show changes. So come on.
I say let's do part 2 with the other ladies that didn't come on because I know their stories.
Oh yes.
And I think that we should definitely bring them and try to get them back on next week.
We have a part 2 next week.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, there are a lot of voices right now.
Where are those voices?
I'm never gonna lie.
What was that?
I have no idea who that is at all.
That's weird.
Is that feedback?
I wonder what they're talking about. Well, let's hear what they're talking about.
That's Terry.
I agree with Pam.
I can hear you say that's part 2.
It's a delay.
Oh, so it's delayed.
delay.
Oh wow. So with that being said, again, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight, for hanging out with us, talking about this topic. We're all going to have a part 2 next week. Hopefully you guys can rejoin us and we'll continue the conversation. So with that.
All right.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, guys. Thanks.
Good night.
Great talking to you.
Good night.
Heard you get into it, well, let's talk about it. All day in the bank, let's talk about it. Spend a few checks, talking cheap change, well, let's